In April 2023, Sarah, I, and our son Aiden visited Yosemite National Park and were in awe at the vast amounts of snowfall and runoff. On the way back home the next day, we dropped by a location in Mariposa County that has some fascinating history. To get there, we had to travel along the 1860s route used by renowned naturalist and conservationist Jon Muir, known for his efforts to preserve the Yosemite National Park. Now named the historic Jon Muir Route, his treks into Yosemite went by way of Smith Station Road and the old Coulterville Yosemite Toll Road. Thousands of pioneers took the same route, which snaked past Bower Cave, a limestone grotto familiar to generations of Mi-Wuk Indians before a single gold seeker or tourist arrived in Central California. Well, fans of history hunters, we're in for a big treat today. We're going to go see the Bowers Cave, but we're having to drive on this beat-up road to get there. So hi, welcome to this episode of History Hunters. I'm in Mariposa County. We are here on the old Coulterville Yosemite Toll Road. It dates back to 1874 when the early pioneers wanted a way to get to Yosemite. Even from the Central Valley of California, it was like a 4-day trip. When your horse pulled the wagons, you had all your provisions. And when you made it to Yosemite, you stayed up there for like 2 weeks at a time. This road is obviously been paved. It's in pretty bad shape. But one of the places that the pioneers liked to stop, because it was really hot, usually wanted to come up here in the summertime. We get hot like a day like today, it's like 80 degrees. Bowers Cave was a place where you could stop, you could get cooled off, you could entertain yourselves. They would actually stop and have parties. They had actually made a bandstand up in the cave where they would have a band playing and they would have dances inside the cave, and just the reverberation of the music was something that everybody enjoyed. But I'm going to go up to Bowers Cave up here and show you. We can't go in it because it's really dangerous. In fact, in the 1950s, somebody fell to their death 60 feet into the cave. You can imagine over 100 years ago, people would travel up this road here by freight wagon, by stagecoach to go to Yosemite. So a lot of famous people have gone this way. This is a route that Jon Muir took. And right here is a historical marker. Talks about this being the Coulterville Toll Road. This was the first road into Yosemite Valley, originally a county road. It became a toll road and later again a county road. Opened in 1874. As an improved toll road. It has served continuously since that time. Beginning in 1956, the Northern California Yosemite Highway Association raised and spent $50,000 to rebuild the 14.7-mile portion from the site, more compatible with modern traffic. Raising of private money for a public road is without parallel. As you can tell, it's been kind of neglected over time. And what's cool is this old, what is that, like a marble rock there, just poking through above the very thin asphalt. They actually discourage you from going up here, but I've been up here. It's been a long time since I've been up here, probably 40 years ago. Just gonna follow this path and see where it takes us. I don't know how far it is. Jon Muir actually spent some time near this cave. He said that it was a marble palace. It looks like a tree has fallen. So we're going to take this route and go around. I think what's so unique is the fact that this was really a popular place at one time, and now you're not even allowed to come up here. But that's pretty much the way life is. I'm just following the trail. Hopefully it takes me there. Yeah, okay, it's up here. Sure looks like they've tore down the fence here to get in. Look at this. Okay. Here we go. Here's the cave. It's Bowers Cave. Wow. You can tell it's pretty deep. But there was a ladder down that way. Just this huge cave. Try to get you a better view of it. Yeah, can you imagine falling to your death from that height? Holy cow. I've been down in there. It was a time where there was actually a rickety wooden ladder, but I wouldn't dare get close to the edge now. I've switched over to my iPhone to give you a much better view of this cave. Since it's dark, I think the iPhone picks up better on it. It's pretty deep. In fact, it just gives me the willies thinking about being right here by the edge. Right down in here is where they had a bandstand that they had set up. A little raised section of wood. That's where the band played. Well, they would dance in the bottom of that. Definitely would not want to fall in there. Now, in 1953, the son of Charles Lindbergh, the famous aviator, Jon Lindbergh, actually went down there diving. He was an underwater diver, and he was a student at Stanford University. He came up here, I think he was about 21 years old, and he was the first person to dive down deep in the bottom of that lake. There's a lake in the bottom, and supposedly one of the biggest lakes in the western half of the U.S. So I'm not one to like heights, so it's kind of unnerving to be right here sitting on this rock looking into the mouth of that cave. But I just can't help the sense of nostalgia that I have to think about all the pioneers who've long since perished would find this place to be a entertaining place. If you can imagine Saturday night dances here, music just coming right out of this hole here. People making merriment. I mean, those were the days you had to create your own fun. And those treks up here, the 4-day treks to get here to Yosemite, you needed a place to have fun, stop for a little bit, rest, get cooled off. This is one of those places, Bower Cave. So obviously the first people who were in this cave were the Mi-Wuk Indian tribes. They had a name for this place that was called U-10, which stood for the home of the Eastern Star.
The Mi-Wuk believed that the cavern was a sacred passageway, and after death, their spirits would return to Mother Earth through the cave opening.
Now, all surrounding this cave are these rocks. They look like marble. I'm assuming it's marble. It definitely reminds me of all the headstones that were carved from like this kind of rock.
The first white man to write about the cave was Belgian miner John Nicholas Perlot, who lived near the cave between 1852 and 1857. Two foreign miners, named Nicholas Arney and Frederick Schobel, claimed to have been the first to discover the cavern in March 1856. They filed a deed of ownership in Mariposa 2 weeks later and established a ranch around the cave, where they mined limestone used to construct buildings in nearby Coulterville. Initially called the Marble Springs Cave, the two created a business by charging admission for parties, dances, picnics, and tours. The cave was later named Bower Cave for the bower of maple branches that spread over the cave opening. James Hutchings of Yosemite history fame came by in 1859 and wrote that it cost $1 to enter the cave, and that the trip from Coulterville took 4 hours to reach it.
When things were crazy in the 1870s, they would lower people down in this contraption that was like in the shape of a bathtub, down to the bottom, so that's how they accessed it, until these two pioneers who thought they had a way to make some money, they actually built a wooden staircase, and there were several staircases that went down here. Can't imagine the bravery that it took to get down here. As you can see, it goes way down there, and it looks like in the bottom, I'm going to try to zoom in a little bit, looks like there's some green pond water at the bottom. Now, we've had a lot of rains here in California, so I would imagine, you know, that's part of that. Like I said, Charles Lindbergh's son went down there and explored very underneath the caverns there. There's a lot of caverns in Sierra Nevada, but it's incredible. Like I said, it's been a long time since I've been here.
There's supposedly a body buried above the cave. Here's that story. In 1861, Arnie sold the 200-acre property for $500 to a French immigrant named Henry Becker. The stress of managing the cave as a tourism business and mining activities created marital problems between Henry and Marie, his wife 30 years his junior. Henry Becker was a hard-drinking man who routinely beat his wife brutally. In 1863, she had enough of the abuse and fatally shot her husband to death in self-defense. Marie escaped charges, and Henry was buried on the hillside behind the cavern. Marie and second husband Louis Picard continued to operate the cavern, and when the toll road was completed in 1874, the couple built an 8-room hotel and large barn on the property. This is a lamp from the hotel now on display at the museum in Groveland. This marriage failed in 1893, with Marie selling her interest in the cave to Louis. When Picard died in 1898, Bower Cave went to his daughter, Carolyn Wenger, and husband Fritz Wenger, who settled on the property and updated the dance floor to accommodate more visitors. When Fritz Wenger died in 1905, his children, including George Wenger, took over the management of the cave and the ranch until their mother's death in 1943. Dancing in the cave ended in the 1920s when the dance floor began to rot and sag. The Wengers then built a dance hall closer to the road that could accommodate a larger number of visitors. In 1945, the Wengers sold the property to James and Ida Rice. Efforts to make Bower Cave a state park failed. In 1981, after James Rice died, Ida sold the property to Jack Linkletter, son of TV personality Art Linkletter. Their plan was to create a working ranch that would be a peaceful place for family and friends to gather. The Linkletters sold the property in 1991 to the Stanislaus National Forest, which had a goal of preserving this unique piece of cultural and natural history. You know, when you visit places like this that were important to generations long ago, I mean, we're talking your great-great-grandfathers, it's kind of sad to think the fun places that they got to visit are either closed off or they're just off limits to the public. And I think it's because people just, they rent it for other people. They come up here, they get killed. And so it prevents other people from getting to experience the past that they enjoyed. I know things are different, obviously, because now that we have cars, one of the things that makes it a little more places like this are obsolete because cars make travel much faster. The trip that took 4 days from the floor of the valley all the way to Yosemite Valley, takes an hour and a half now, 2 hours. So you don't have to stop and enjoy the cool. But a slower pace of life has been lost. It's totally been lost. We're in a rushed pace. Even when you're in Yosemite, you complain about your cell phone not having any service. It's like we're so dialed into the internet, social media, that we can't enjoy the things that our great-great-great-grandparents enjoyed. This is a problem when you come in here because few people come up here and know about this place. They come overgrown. Trees have fallen. Like I have to go through this area here. Hopefully my mic system doesn't get ripped loose, which has already happened. There was also a large hotel that was built here in the 1870s. Not sure exactly where it was located, but it was located near the road. Obviously you wanted to catch the highway travel. So I do want to thank you for joining us on this episode of History Hunters. Hope that you enjoyed this little snippet, look back at the history and the era of John Muir. By the way, John Muir came from Scotland. One of the first places he wanted to see was Yosemite. I believe he rode on the ferry, Oakland Ferry. He then journeyed by foot and horse through the Central Valley of California up the Merced River. He found work at a ranch, Patrick Delaney's ranch in LaGrange, where he tended sheep so he could gain some money. Then he got on foot again and came up the ways that we have shown you, John Muir Trail. The guy was a stud, man. When you think about all the places that he covered on foot, it's a wonder that he lived as long as he did. But I do want to thank you. If you could leave us a comment. Also, if you could hit the
subscription button. We would love to have you subscribe to our channel, hit the notification bell. We've heard stories from people saying, I haven't seen a video that you've done lately. That's because they haven't hit the notification bell or they haven't checked our channel listing. But we do want to thank you for your time today on History Hunters. Thank you so much.